Hey everyone, Mo here, and before the video begins, I just want to let you guys know that my schedule has opened up for me to do coaching again. So if you're interested in private one-on-one coaching for me to help you, whether you're a newer player and you want to excel at the game very quickly and learn the fundamentals without developing any bad habits early, or if you're an experienced player who's already maybe platinum or diamond in your top 1%, but you need some help filling in the gap to get you to that 0.01%, to make you just some of the best, then hit me up on Discord and I can get you in some private one-on-one coaching lessons to help you polish up any skills you want to refine and help you learn all of the secrets to becoming a top player. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys a deck guide for dummies, or I guess I just changed the name to deck guide because apparently deck guide for dummies was a little mean. But I brought you guys a deck guide for dummies on TF Nami, or Zombie Fish is what I call it. I don't think anyone else calls it that, but I call it that because I think it's a pretty cool name, and I'm a pretty cool name guy, so I figured it's better than TF Nami or Drizoth Pile number 64. So basically, if you've watched any amount of tournaments lately or have paid attention to ladder, you'll see that this deck is very popular. TF Nami is very popular, and it is very good. It has a lot of resemblance to just basically every other Nami deck. This one is not anything special compared to the other Nami decks. If anything, this is probably the lowest power Nami deck we've had out of all of them. But it's still extremely strong, which is why, we have Drizoth hitting rank 1 with it multiple times every single day, fighting to end the season like rank 1, right? Or I don't know if he's actually going to do that, if he's just going to camp. But basically, this deck's really good. It's one of the most played decks on ladder right now. It kind of shot up in popularity a lot once Riot announced patch notes. And they said, hey, these are the decks that are, or these are all the cards getting nerfed. They didn't give us the nerfs, or they gave me the nerfs. But they didn't give you guys all the nerfs of everything. They just said, hey, these cards are getting nerfed. And after people kind of read them all and looked at it, they quickly realized that every single tier 1 deck is getting nerfed except for Zombie Fish, because Zombie Fish wasn't hyper played until like recently, so it kind of slid under the radar. But people realize, hey, if this deck's not going to get nerfed, it's easily going to be the best deck of next patch. So we might as well learn it. And so now everyone is jamming games with it. Everyone's trying to get their LP before they have to start playing mirror matches. Everyone's trying to learn the deck because we assume it's going to be a staple in seasonals and decks to come. I talked about this deck in my Meta Monday last week. I'm making you guys the deck guide now. I just wanted to take some time to actually learn the deck. Up until that Meta Monday last week, I literally played zero games of this Zombie Fish deck on my Meta Monday last week. Since then, I've basically played exclusively Zombie Fish for a couple of reasons. One, because the deck is just really good. But two, because I really wanted to make sure that I understood the deck and understood it enough to teach you. Because you can't really teach someone a deck if you don't know it yourself, or it's like bad teaching. I'd be teaching you guys bad habits or not full habits. So because of that, I think I found where I first started playing Zombie Fish. So since then, I've played 100 games. I've played 100 games with Zombie Fish, and I have a 63% win rate. So is this win rate absolutely spectacular? No. But for somebody, this is also including all of the games that it took me to learn the deck. So it takes about 50 games to learn a deck in LOR. So if you take those out, I don't know what my post 50 games, win rate is or whatever. But essentially, I think if you were to restart everything now that I know how to play the deck, I'd say my win rate is easily 65% plus, close to 70%. I win quite often with this deck. I go on streaks of okay, I'm gonna play, sit down, sweat my ass off for an hour, really hard sweat for an hour on this deck, and I'll gain 100 plus LP. It's I'm gonna sit down, really hard sweat for 3 hours at a time. I'll go up, a bunch of LP. I went from 0 LP to 200 LP in 2 hours, 250 LP in 2 hours. Since then, I kind of teetered out at about 300 LP, but I haven't really had time to sit down and actually play the game. So I am going to tonight. So hopefully tonight I can go from, I think I'm at 240 right now. I was at 300 earlier, but I'm at 250, 240 or something like that. So I'm hoping to just sit down tonight and just crank out games for 5 hours. The goal for me personally is to get to a camping spot before the patch hits, so I don't have to try and figure out to climb on the new patch, and I can just camp and sit for the 7-2 spot in seasonals. But yeah, this deck is extremely strong, and that's kind of everyone's goal right now. So what we're going to go over in this deck guide is the how to Mulligan is what this intro is going to be. How to Mulligan, what the deck kind of does, and then I play a couple of games for you guys. I think I'll play like 2, 3, maybe 5, depends on how long and short the games are, how informative and good the games are. If it's like, 2 or 3 really high quality games, I'll just do that. But if it's kind of like mediocre games and just like kind of boring, then I'll probably play like 5 or so. So we'll see. But basically the overarching like idea of this deck and how it works is it takes Nami, which is a really good champion. Whenever you play a spell, you leveled up Nami, you never see this card. This is the card that you see. Whenever you play a spell, you grant the weakest unit, your weakest ally +2/+1. Okay, very simple. Play cheap spell, make small unit bigger. Okay, you pair that with elusive units like Burblefish, 0 mana, 2 on elusive. Shelly is another elusive, but also kind of buffs your team. Zasperafen is another elusive that buffs your team, or not doesn't buff your team, but gives you spells to buff your team. So the idea is, if you played any other Nami deck, it's the same early game play patterns of pass on turn 1, pass on turn 2, play double trouble on turn 3. Okay? And then go to turn 4, play another 3 spell mana of some sort, either a 3 mana spell or a 4 mana spell if you need to play like Tentacle Smash. Even I have Nagakaboros is fine. Something of that. Just use all 3 of your spell mana, get at least 2 back. So you can play anything from 3 to 5 mana at this point on turn 4. And then on turn 5 is when you play Nami. She's leveled up, and then you just start going crazy. You play a bunch of spells, make your units really big, and then you win the game. This deck got extremely buffed with Shadow Isle Telstones, which a lot of people said was actually the worst Telstones in the game. I think people agreed that it was one of the 2 worst, right behind or in front of Targon. It was right there. It was either the worst Telstones in the game or the second worst Telstones in the game. But it's really nuts in this deck. First of all, Crumble is actually not as bad as people think it is when you don't have to main deck it. Same with like in Three Sisters, Entomb. Like, are you ever going to main deck Entomb? No. Is it nice to be in Freljord and have hard removal like Entomb? Like, yes. But also because it's flexible, because sometimes it's a Frostbite. Sometimes it makes you do more damage and trade. Like it's more flexible. This is the same way. You use Mark of the Isles, like the most common card here is Mark of the Isles, just like in Freljord. The most common card is the Frostbite. So this is kind of your go-to pick most of the time to pull off your bread and butter combos. However, both of these 2 have really good uses. Crumble, if you need to interact with your opponent's champion or a win condition, like Legion Deserter. Viego, right now, like Auction Infinite combo. Basically any threat from your opponent, Crumble is a kill spell. If you're playing against a control deck or something, and your opponent's trying to kill your Nami on sight, you can wait until you have 6 mana with Nami, and then go Telstones, Spirit Journey, your own Nami, target Nami, saves her from like an opponent's vengeance, right? So you just paid the same 6 mana your opponent paid for their vengeance, except you buffed 2 of your units, you gave +4/+2 in stat buffs, and you get to keep your Nami alive for future use. So that's probably the number 1 way I use Spirit Journey, is to kind of keep my ally alive, or keep my unit alive. But yeah, I use all 3 of these forms. Obviously, Mark of the Isles is very good for aggressive turns and then turns where you're trying to catch your opponent off guard, because it produces a lot of stats really cheap, really fast when you pair it with like Fleet Admiral, Shelly, and Nami. So that's the basic goal of the deck, is to just kind of swarm the board out with small units, buff them all really big with Nami and Shelly. Your Mulligan guide. So Mulligan is basically just look for Double Trouble, Nami. Or Nami and then any like spells that are actually good to play early. So this means I'll keep, you're almost always mulliganing away 3 cards. Assuming you don't have Nami in your hand, you're always mulliganing away at least 3 cards, most of the time 4, unless that 4th card is really good. The 4th card that you're going to keep is going to be things like Coral Creatures, possibly. I have Nagakaboros, because I'll explain why in a minute. I have Nagakaboros, depending on the matchup, Tentacle Slam, Tentacle Smash, and depending on the matchup, Vile Feast. So those are the cards that you're going to want to keep. It's basically your cheap spells. And here's when you'll want to keep them. Coral Creatures, if you're against like an aggro style deck, this can kind of declump your hand or give you a spell to cast early to kind of use your spell mana, but it's not the greatest if you're not against aggro and you're not going to need a blocker. Vile Feast, same idea. If you're not going to need to remove something like a Zoe, a Boom Baboon, any kind of 1 HP aggro unit, or again a Zoe or a champion like that, then you probably don't want to keep Vile Feast. Double Trouble is the absolute nut card, is what you're looking for every time. Answered Prayer is okay. It's kind of like a, if you have it and nothing else, you might as well keep it, because it's a 5 mana card to use. And then Tentacle Slam in some matchups, because one, you'll want to keep it in matchups just because you'll need to remove units. So against like Elise decks, you'll want it against there. Against Annie decks, you're going to want it there. Against like Aphelios decks, you don't have a way to kill Aphelios early, you're going to want this there. In the mirror match, this card is insane. Stuff like that. And then Item Nakakoboros is really a card people should be keeping more than they are, I think, if it's your only like playable card. Because the theory behind it is, if your hand is absolute dog shit, right? It's like turn 3, you don't have any other spell you could possibly play. Item Nakakoboros lets you spend all of your spell mana plus some. It's not, perfectly ideal, but it lets you spend at least all of your spell mana to refresh your hand and potentially draw into spells that can fix it for the future turns. Versus mulliganing this away, and then you get a Harrowing, or you get a Burblefish, or you get like, Fading Memories, or an early Tellstones, or something like that. Twisted Fate isn't something I keep in my hand very often, unless I'm going to need it against aggro for red card early. I don't keep it often. Typically, it's better to just look for spells. Basically, the entire Mulligan guide is just look for spells early. Once you have your spells, you can go for these secondary cards. But until you get those spells in your hand, if you don't have these early game spells, just look for these early game spells to try to level up your Nami. Like, Nami is key. Nami Mommy, we're going to go ahead and try to level her up as fast as possible in almost every matchup. Against aggro, it's kind of different. Against aggro, you're going to want the Vile Feast and Double Trouble. You are not going to want to care about Nami level up in aggro. You just care about your life total. You will level up Nami eventually, or just you will run your opponent out of cards and then kill them with elusives eventually. But against everything that's like not aggro, essentially your goal is just level up Nami, flood the board with huge stat lines, and swing at your opponent. But that's it for the Mulligan guide, really. There's nothing else really to it. You don't really want to keep Vengeance against anything, like maybe against Noxus Viego, because they just have so many threats that you really need to kill Viego. You're just going to fall immensely behind. But outside of that, which that deck's getting like hugely nerfed anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. You probably shouldn't be keeping Vengeance against anything. It's basically just cheap spells. But that's going to be it for this intro and for the Mulligan guide. And here are some games for you guys. Hope you enjoyed them. But before we get into the games, I wanted to remind you guys thought I forgot, 68% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to me. So if you could do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. I'd put a lot of time in on these guides, not just the recording aspect and the games aspect, but to learning each deck well, so that I could give you guys like actual good information and good deck guide information. It takes a lot of time. I mean, you guys saw that I played 100 games so far of this deck. If each game averages out to like 5 minutes, that's 500 minutes of just like learning this deck just for this video. Like, yes, I'm going to use this knowledge to play in tournaments and stuff like that, so it wasn't just for the video, but I do that a lot for a lot of decks like Bard Poppy. I basically haven't touched that deck since the video I made for you guys. So I like put a lot of time into learning decks correctly so I could give you guys the best information on them. So I'd really appreciate if you guys could subscribe, and then let me know down in the comments below if you still enjoy this deck guide content. I put out like a more funny meme type video last week on Solitaire playing Thralls. People didn't seem to like that much, so I appreciate you guys letting me know that. Just let me know in the comments what type of content you guys are enjoying. That's going to be it for the intro. Hope you guys enjoy the games. Alright, so we're against Victor Aphelios here. So PNZ Targon. It's kind of like the new Zoomer discard aggro. This is what it's referred to as now, because it's literally just play cheap units, get in chip damage, and then play a Winding Light to end the game later on. So it's basically like, imagine Draven Jinx like discard aggro, and everyone played crowd favorite for their big like overwhelm like late game. Well, in this deck, instead of playing crowd favorite, you just play Winding Light, and that's your big overwhelm crazy late game play. So boom, boom, boom. This is fine. This is a really good curve if we had a Coral Creatures, because we'd be able to play Coral Creatures here and Vile Feast. We'd kill both their units for free. They're going to open attack us because they know we play Double Trouble. And that's fine. We can just spend the Vile Feast to Boom Baboon. When you're against aggro decks, the main goal isn't to level up Nami. The main goal is actually to save HP. Which they didn't open attack, which is really weird because they know we went float float, and the most common thing for TF Nami is to go... Interesting. So yeah, like right here, like we could try to level up our Nami with by like passing and stuff, but instead I'm just gonna go ahead and try to take the least amount of damage possible. As long as they don't have Poro Cannon, we are in an amazing spot. Why wouldn't they have Poro Cannon? My opponent is just strictly better. Oh wait, what? Wait, what? That's not what I thought they were gonna do. Never mind. I take back everything I just said. Why wouldn't they just pull my 2-4? I guess that still wouldn't leave them in a very good spot. Because they would just kill this off, and I'd kill both 2-1s, and they would have a goat, but it wouldn't really matter. So here, we can just, like, pass. We can threaten the Nami level up here because we've kind of stabilized the board quite a bit, or a little bit here. It's an Aphelios. That's fine. I'm actually going to Vile Feast the Aphelios and the chance that we draw a Twisted Fate. Because this deck doesn't really play too much removal. Like, we play the Tentacle Slam. We play Tentacle Slam, 2 Vengeance. But this also sets us up to where if we just draw Twisted Fate, we can just go Twisted Fate, you know, whatever. So, that's fine. They got the gem out of him. We could also, like, at the worst, crumble him, which is probably what will end up happening. Just kidding. We drew a Vengeance like a good player. I mean, that's okay with me. So, we're going to click Resolve. So we can go Telstones, play Nami, crumble, and I think that's what we're going to do. So Telstones, grab the crumble, play the Nami, level our Nami. And we're just going to go ahead and crumble away this Aphelios. This play is sad. Oh, Calibrum. Okay. This play is sad if they have, like, Mystic Shot. But if they don't have Mystic Shot right here, we've basically won the game. Cool. So, yeah, this game's pretty over. We kind of just took control of the board. We both focused on leveling up Nami and focused on keeping our HP high. We were able to balance that really well. That's probably going to be the hardest thing for you guys to learn and to practice, is to know, like, okay, when is it appropriate to just give 0 fucks about Nami level up? When is it appropriate to say, like, oh my god, if I'm not leveling up Nami, I'm going to lose the game? The general rule is, like I said, against aggro, typically your HP is way more important than your Nami level up. This is different than, like, back in Nami Zoe, you wouldn't care what aggro was doing. You would just say, oh, hyper level Nami, hyper level Nami. But that's because you also played, like, an elusive 2-drop. So you would just make a 2020 elusive life, or sorry, you played a lifesteal, like, unit in your deck. So you would go down to, like, you know, 5 HP on turn 4, but then say, like, hey, fuck you, I have a 2020 lifesteal unit, you know? Oh, an Aphelios, no. Okay, we can attack with our 3/3. So we're pretty scared of Winding Light at the moment. Oh, that's really good for us, because that makes this big. And it triggers our Crawling Sensation. That's really good. So, against Winding Light decks, Winding Light is extremely strong, but... Oh, that's good. That's cool. Buffed up my Sparring Student. But, typically what happens is if you have any amount of units in a leveled Nami by turn 6 or turn 7 when the Winding Light comes down, you kind of just, like, to block everything. Like, yeah, see here, like, my opponent has a pretty, like, not that scary board, because what ends up happening is we just end up blocking whatever we want to block. So I'm down to Ebb and Flow to try to, like, ping, like snipe one of these Daring Poros. This also helps me out with my blocks and lets me know, like, how I'm going to be able to block. So we're just going to block everything. We're going to assume this misses, or this hits one of the Daring Poros, right? Because that's what we wanted to hit. So what we're going to do is just do this. We're going to heal up our Nexus, make our unit big. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and do this. Again, we're going to... I don't know which unit actually gets buffed by this. Oof, that's not very good. I'm gonna assume it's this one. We'll see. Yeah, let's go. I guess correctly. And for those of you who's wondering, no, there's not an actual way to know. I mean, there is. So it's random in the sense, this is how it was explained to me, was that it's random in the sense that, or it's not random in the sense that there are cards that take priority over others. Like in the RNG stack, there's like, oh, this card takes priority over this one. Like this card is numbered 1 on the priority stack. This card's number 2. So that's why if you do things like, if you play, Fearsome Spiders, you notice that Doom Beast will always get resurrected over a Skitterer. And that's because, for some reason, Doom Beast is higher priority on this list thing that I'm talking about. Okay, I think I'm just gonna, like, not let you... Again, our goal is just to not let them level this Aphelios. We don't want to deal with Aphelios leveled up. But there's no way for you as a player to, like, really know these things except for experiencing it. And with this deck, you're probably not going to memorize every single order of every single 1-drop in the game. I don't know if there's like a website out there or anything that like actually tells you. Yeah, I'm down to just swing like this. If they block Nami Mystic Shot, I don't think I care. All right, so our goal... Oh my god, this guy had triple Aphelios. Okay, well... Hopefully we're in a spot where it doesn't matter. He says not confidently. I need a really cheap spell here, so I can go Fleet Admiral Shelley, Eye of Nagakaboros, cheap spell. Honestly, as long as they don't have a, as long as they don't draw, like, Victor or Second Winding Light, we should be fine. Okay, well. Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't matter. So, alright, we got our cheap spell, though, which is good. You also level up a TF in this deck quite often, so that is something you wanna look for, but not like super prioritize. So don't over prioritize it. So get that lifesteal, okay. All right, we're basically just gonna wait for them to attack and then burst speed out a blocker. That will hopefully kill them. Sump Dredger, okay. Okay. So still, game plan is still the same. Plan to burst speed out a blocker. So it's Eye of Nagakaboros. Okay, Tentacle and another Eye. So I guess we'll just copy Shelly, because I think our Shelly's about to die here. And we're going to hope that our Shelly can somehow get us lethal. So we found a way to block about everything. We go to 4 here. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm down to go to 4. We died to like a Mystic Shot, or Burn Spell, but he top decked to this card, and he's gonna be top decking the next card. So, I mean, I guess if those are his top decks, then those are his top decks. Okay, so you're gonna stun the non-ephemeral Shelly. Yeah, makes sense. We have some spells here. We can also go for this TF level up here, like I said. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3. So we'd go to 7 out of 9, which we have this Eye of Kaboru. So we'd actually be able to level up TF next turn. Let's go ahead and see what we draw. And that's probably what we'll end up doing then. Maybe we draw a Burblefish here would be nice. No Burblefish. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and shuffle back in this... What? We're going to shuffle in the Shelly at this point. And we're just going to kind of swing for the fences and try to kill our opponent. If they want to trade Nami with Aphelios, I am extremely happy with that trade because I have second Nami and leveled Aphelios is scary. Okay, they're just dead. So they didn't have anything anyways. Otherwise, his option was to like block TF, go to 1 HP. But I leveled TF next turn and he knows that. So he dies at 1 HP anyways. So very cool. What are we at? 240? Yeah. 240, so almost got 20 LP for that. All right, let's see if we can get a couple more games. I know these games are a little bit longer and there's a lot more to take in, so I'm probably not going to play too many. Because also, this isn't a deck that I feel like I can multitask and teach you guys well on. So For that, I don't want to, I don't like push my luck. Like I want to go ahead and like have these games that are really simple, like simple motion games, and show you. Like that one was very basic. It was very good to show you like when you want to prioritize Nami. Oh, I don't want to prioritize Nami right now. Okay, I'm in a spot where I can prioritize Nami. I might have a couple of replays I could show you guys. I just realized also I'm on a completely different overlay, so I hope this doesn't look too bad. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, I was on my TFT overlay because I played in the Riot Games TFT Grand Prix. But anyways, I think oh, we're getting in the game here. Yeah, I could show you guys some replays if you want. I don't know if you want that because I'm not gonna wait for you to respond. So I'll decide whether or not I want to do that. I know you guys said in the past you don't want to watch videos of just someone like playing the game. We're gonna keep Eye of Nakabora. So here's the mulligan: is I don't want a full pitch when like I could have hands much worse than this. Actually, not much worse than this, but there are many hands that have about the same outcome. So I'll keep this Eye of Nagakaboro's as like the fail-safe card, where it's like worst to worst case scenario. Yeah, see, like this hand isn't very great. So worst to worst case scenario, I can play a spell on turn 3 to, one, kind of filter out my hand quality, but then 2, start my Nami level up. Because this is control, so our goal here is just to level up Nami. That's a pretty good draw too. At least that's fine. So this is getting kind of scary. I think I'm gonna go ahead and play Coral Creatures here, just so I have a blocker against the 1 mana spider. Let's see here. Yep, so I'm just gonna be able to kill the 1 mana spider here. I could also just block Nami and Vile Feast Nami. I kind of like that game plan. We're gonna do that instead. We're going to block Nami because this also saves more HP. And that Vile Feast gives us perfect mana. So that way we don't have to do like Tentacle Slam and waste any extra spell mana. So we're getting to do our game plan of still leveling up Nami here as efficient as possible. Like worst case there is if they had a House Spider or something to level up the Elise. But we don't have to worry about any of that. We could play Double Trouble, but I'm really scared of this Elise flipping. So because this deck doesn't play very many threats, and they don't have a, they don't even have the Conservatory out yet, like the landmark that gives them tie bulk, I'm just gonna deal with the threats that are presented to me, and just assume they don't have things like Conservatory. And I just don't want them to like play House Spider or block, play like, yeah, Vile Feast into the Elise spell, and then all of a sudden they have like a flipped Elise, right? And I just can't do anything about it. Okay, so they're getting another Vile Feast next turn. I'm just down a full Syndit here. And that way they just straight up don't get to play their Vile Feast next turn. Okay, so our Nami's leveled. Let's see here. Yeah, this is a pretty good pass. Let's go ahead and Double Trouble. We're just going to hope to get more than 1 HP units. I mean, we got a unit that's more than 1 HP. That's good. That's good. Catalog of Regrets. Yep. And then here we go. We have a Shelly. So we're going to just force them to have the Flock. Looks like they do. We don't have the Glimpse to save it or to protect it. So they're going to get a Flock. That's okay, though. We can play around that next turn. We're going to try and make this catalog have the least amount of, like, playability as possible. So, Tentacle Smash is fine. I'm also down to just, like, play Eye of Nagakaborus and filter out my hand. I like that game plan. Pretty good. And we can just pass. We don't have to do anything. We're going to keep 2 mana open forever now to play around Glimpse. So we know they have a Flock in their hand. Okay, so they did the same thing. Same draw too. But we also advanced our board state, which is nice. Got rid of the Flock. They're going to get another draw 2 here. If they go for that, that's like half of their mana. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm really happy with that, I think. Okay, so there's their pressure. There's the Conservatory. So here comes... Oh, this is a Go Hard deck. Okay. That's not very cool. Okay, let's go ahead and just play our Burblefish out here. And we're just going to try and stop them from getting good cards. So, like, we can do... Actually, I'm down to just try for the Glimpse here. Yeah, I'm down to try for a Glimpse. They'd have to have, like, literally a third Ravenous Flock to punish this. Yeah, I'm fine with those odds, right? Like, those odds are good for me. The only downside is now he's 100% getting a Go Hard next turn, and there's no chance for them to be getting a Flock, which is a dead card. So that's kind of annoying. I also wish I had a... I also wish I had another Lord, like another Shelly or a Nami. Not having Nami right here is pretty annoying. They're Vile Feasting their own fish. Interesting. So now their Go Hard's gonna hit for 2. Fuck me, man. Alright, let's see what we get here. Oh, we got our own Go Hard. So we can become the Go Hard deck. That's fine. We're gonna go ahead and do this. Because we can actually kill this Tybulk. Let's see. So what spell are they getting? They're getting a Vile Feast for 2 next turn. Ugh. Oh, why did I do that? I should have put it on the 2-1. That was a misplay. See, like stuff like this is stuff I feel like I wouldn't do if I wasn't trying to talk about everything out loud and feel like if I didn't want the video to be 10 miles an hour. Because obviously the slower play there, the more correct play is to put it on these two, attack, and then we can Tentacle Smash this, and Tentacle Smash already kills this, so I don't need to pull it with the vulnerable, right? But is what it is. We can go for a different game plan now. Let's adjust here. Alright. Let's go ahead and adjust. Let's just do this. And we can just, draw more cards, and we can just Go Hard this. And it's definitely not the best spot to be in, but I've seen worse spots. So we drew a way to get rid of the catalogs, or didn't draw away, but created a way to get rid of the catalog. That's good. And I guess another upside is now we have Tentacle Smash to deal with, like, second Annie or Elise or something. So there's that. So this is a Vile Feast for 2. There's our Nami, finally. Only took 10 years. Yep, there's the Fleeting Vile Feast. I think we're just going to say okay. I'm down to just TF red card here. Let's see. We have a Harrowing, which is really good against these control decks. Especially since they've already killed 2 Shellys, I think. Yeah, they've already killed 2 Shellys. So that's a whale for 2 on my everything. I'm glad that didn't hit my Nami. I would actually be okay if they spent like a bunch of cards here to kill my Nami. Like if they had Vile Feast Flock or something, I don't know. Like if they drew 3rd Flock, 3rd Vile Feast, I'd be okay with that right here for them to kill my Nami. But it looks like they don't have it. So they have Vile Feast or Withering Whale. So what does this Harrowing get us? She get us 2 Shellys. Yeah, like this is absolutely nuts. The only way this actually gets punished is by a Ruination, but I don't think any deck is playing Ruination right now because it is just so ridiculously slow that you will get just dunked on by like every deck in the game. Yeah, so there's the Withering Whale. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to go Tellstones, Mark of the Isle, and then we'll just Mark of the Isle like you. Now it gives everything +2/+2. And then we should be able to just 20 them. Okay. We also have burst speed spells, so we can do all of that again. So even if they have like a second Withering Whale here, we beat that as well. Scorched Earth, Scorched Earth. Sure. So they should still be dead. Yeah. So we're just going to Bloodbait because that gives lethal. And we can just play 1 card at a time. So we click Bloodbait, check. They're at 0. We click OK, see if they have anything else. They don't. So we didn't even need to play the Bilgewater Tellstones, but obviously we had like extreme lethal there if they didn't have, you know, an answer. So that was, it showed you a way. So the first game was to show you how to play against kind of like an aggro style opener, against an aggro style opener deck. Really, that deck isn't considered an aggro deck, but trust me, that deck's basically an aggro deck. So I showed you how to play against like an aggro style opener and widening light pressure. And then this game, I showed you how to play against, you know, a really slow control deck. So maybe we roll the nuts and I just get to show you mid-range, like all 3 right in a row. But if not, I'll give you the rundown. So against mid-range, basically your goal is to just take board control. Excuse me. Is basically just take over board control. So your early game, you're getting kind of out tempoed because they're gonna play, you know, like 1 mana challenger unit, 2 mana 3/3 challenger unit, or, you know, some other stuff, 3 mana big challenger unit. So your early game, you're gonna kind of fall behind. But basically how it works and how Drizzoff explained it was anytime you get a turn where you get to actually like untap with Nami and have Nami mana. So sorry, it's a magic term. For those of you, if you anytime you get a turn where you actually have like units in play and spell mana with Nami, you usually like trade board down, trade you know, your opponent's stuff, and then take board control, and your opponent just never gets to play the game again because all of your units are just extremely large compared to theirs. Plus, you have elusives. You can always just randomly elusive OTK your opponent. On top of that, you can just make your units extremely large. Like, let me pull up this image here. So, let me pull up this image to show you, like, what kind of got us talking about it, because I felt like I was in a spot that was, like, unwinnable. And then I messaged it to Drizzoff, and he was like, dude, you're, like, literally winning here. So, let me pull it up here. So this, while we're waiting in queue anyways. So this spot, my opponent basically opened the nuts. See, this is turn 6. They basically went turn 2 Sculptor, turn 3 Sculptor, plus this bird, Challenger bird. Here, we can go over this after the game. We'll go back to it, don't worry. And basically, I thought the game was lost because I was like, man, I have absolutely no... I was like, I just have no board pressure. I have no board here. I was like, I have a Nami 2 units, and my opponent's units are all huge. And I sent it to him, and he was like, no, dude, you're, like, winning. He was like, all you had to do was play, like, you know, a Vile Feast here, and then play your spells. You trade the board away. Your opponent gets 2/2/2s, but then, you know, they have 2 cards in their hand, and you still have a full hand of cards with Nami, with other units, and they can never play the game again. And I was like, huh, you know, you're right. So we can go over it, and I can tell you basically exactly what he's talking about, so you guys get an idea of it. So, damn, it's pretty annoying. Bard Aria is a newer deck that's kind of popped up. It's the new, like, Ionia cool fun deck. Getting Chimes is really not cool, really frustrating. But hopefully we can kind of beat it. We do have a good Nami level up hand here, and they also don't have... Oh, okay. I mean, that's fine by me. They also don't have, like, any pressure here at all, which is really good for us. Which means their hand's probably super spell heavy. Especially if they just, like, slam down a, If all they do is just, like, slam down a Bard here or something. That tells me that their hand is really spell heavy. So 1 mana recall, that's fine by me. The Arya loses the buff. I still get a 3/3 unit in play. And I'm going to get 3 spell mana here to level up my Nami. So... all in all, this is pretty favorable for me. Of course, they keep their Ari, but again, I can kind of make that hand read that I told you, turn 4 Bard. That gave me their hand read, that their hand was basically either only expensive units, only champions, or spells. It's like some combination of spells, champions, and expensive units, right? So, there's hand reading, a little hand reading 101 for you guys. So there comes the Ari that we know about. I think I'm down to just slam down a gold card. Yeah, I like gold card. This will also tell us kind of more of what their hand is. This will tell us if their hand is like mostly spells or more champions. Like, if he has another bard, he lets us go through, and there's nothing to it. If he doesn't, and this is like it, then he threatens the 2-mana spell, right? So that was top decked. It was far left, so my read was still pretty correct here. All right, this is pretty greedy by the opponent. If I had Mark of the Isles, they kind of just like die. But I also don't want them to get back this and start getting a bunch of units. So I'm going to go ahead and just glimpse my own unit here. So there we go. There's our Nami. We found a leveled up Nami. We should be able to just start running away with the game at this point. They don't have any elusives in play. They have no pressure. They're probably just going to like play Bard here, pass. So I'm going to play this first to get my 1-mana spell. Okay, that kind of gives me more information of what I'm going to be doing this turn before I play my Nami. So I'm expecting just like a Bard Slam here. They also have a Homecoming in their hand. I can tell what that pass tells me they have Homecoming. And they're trying to feel out if I'm trying to level my TF or not. So like, if they pass here again, I'm down to just straight up pass back. And it's, yeah, see, there's the Homecoming. That's not exactly what I thought it would be on, but I'm also just down to do this. This is a really weird spot to be in. At the worst, this gets out a second Homecoming, but then also just like makes my units large, right? Like now I have like a 4-3 and a 3-4. So show me second Hoko. Yep, totally fine by me. I knew they had one Homecoming. Didn't know about the second, but didn't matter. Because that literally did, I mean, like nothing, right? Like, I'm still slapping you for 6. You literally cannot attack me with anything that's not elusive. And I'm just going to play my Nami back next turn and continue to beat your face in, so. So this isn't Demacia mid-range, but it is a mid-range deck, so. But I can still kind of show you guys how it's done here. So double elusive. So I'm assuming these were his draws over the last like couple turns. We're going to hope to roll an elusive here off of Double Trouble. And then also we're about to get to a point to where we just level our TF at burst speed next turn, which is pretty sick. So we get a free chump block here on the Ahri. They don't have mana for sign-in. They don't have second Bard. Their hand is like, I don't even know. Their hand is whatever they top decked this, and then like, this is like 1-mana recall or Ionia Tellstones or something like that, if I had to guess. That's what this last card is. I don't know what the card he just top decked is. Obviously, there's really no way to tell that. See, I would assume this is just like Ionia Tellstones or some like random shit. Okay. Yeah, so our opponent didn't really get to do much. We were about to just win the game. But that was a mid-range deck, so I kind of mid-range deck. So that really shows you, like, again, how to play against mid-range decks, which we did just high-roll all the matchups there in this video. And I got to show you all the matchups. And we also got to climb a little, like, 50 LP. Ooh, a little quick 54 LP. That's pretty nice. So yeah, so against there, we took control of the board, made it so our units were gigantuous. They could have attacked us there, but what would have happened is I literally turn around and I level Twisted Fate at burst speed. And even if I couldn't do that, which my opponent doesn't know I can do that, my opponent sees the fact that I'm just going to turn around, play some amount of spells, open attack them for like, 15 damage, and they're going to have to block down their entire board. But let's finish this off by talking about this board state and kind of showing you more of how to play around, or how to play the mid-range. So when you look at this board state, a lot of people, including myself, think it's absolutely doomed. So I also have 1 extra spell mana. Maybe this helps. Yeah, so I have 1 extra spell mana here, right? So I have 5 mana total. So a lot of people, including myself, looked at this board state, and I was like, damn, this is just doomed, right? So this is what he said to do. And we can play it out here. So in response to this rally, I Vile Feast the 0-4, and then I Fading Memories my Burble Fish. Okay? And then I play the Burble Fish. So Vile Feasting the 0-5 and then Fading Memories makes this Burble Fish a 6-3. Makes it a 6-3. So off the bat already, it trades with everything. Beats one thing, trades with everything. And then I have a 1/1 spider, and I'm gonna have a 2/1 purple fish, right? And of course my 3/4 Nami. So then they full swing, all that jazz, and the next play, because I still will have 3 mana left over, because it's 2 mana for the final feast and then 0 mana for the purple fish. So then I just go Tellstones, Mark of the Isles on whatever the blocks need to be to make my units trade. So with the 2 buffs from Nami with the Mark of the Isles and the Tellstones, and then the Mark of the Isles buff itself, it would essentially allow me to trade away all 4 of these challenger units with my board. Okay? So I trade away all 4 of these with my board. I take 4 total damage, and then they have a 2/2 and a 2/3 left. They have 4 cards in their hand, right? And I have a Nami, an Eye of Nagakuborus, a Harrowing if I really need to, 2 units, a kill spell, and then 2 more units. So I'm still absolutely large chilling. Also, I could cast this after the Tellstones. I'll have 1 mana left, and I can cast this. That way I don't die to some crazy, like, weird open attack, right? I don't die to some, like, Jarbin hyper buff open attack, because I'll have 2 units in play. So they lose their entire board, all of their challengers, and I essentially just remake my board the next turn because my hand is so big. I still have Nami. I still have more units here. I have kill spells here. So take situations like this and don't get overwhelmed. This is what is a big issue for me, was just getting overwhelmed with feeling like I was behind and I had no chance and I was constantly playing catch up. Just like, breathe, calm down, like actually assess the situation, see, okay, is there a way for me to trade the board out here? And there is here if you play the Vile Feast and all that type of stuff. Try to find those lines where you can trade the board away, gain board control, and you will find yourself winning so many more games that felt unlosable or that like most lower elo people would lose. Like for instance, I lost this game. And then, so what did I do? Instead of just saying, oh man, that sucked, my opponent high rolled me, because this is a pretty good hand, again, Sculptor on 2, Sculptor plus, Challenger on 3, into 3-drop Challenger, into 4-drop Challenger, into, 5/5 Challenger. Like, that's a really good hand. But instead of just chalking it up to, oh my god, I got high rolled, like, game suck, deck suck, stuff like that, I went, asked someone for advice, which is what you guys are doing right here in my video, and they gave it to me, and now I have this knowledge to kind of play calmer, slow down, and I can relate it to you guys. So if you guys know somebody, or next time you guys have issues like this, feel free to ask someone. Ask hey, take a screenshot of it, take a video of it, send it to somebody, get coaching. Just be like, hey, what could I have done here differently, or did this look lost? What could I have played differently to make this outcome different? And you will learn so much, and you will start winning so many more games that you would have deemed unwinnable or a high roll or something like that previously. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Deck is working really strong. I mean, you guys just saw me gain 50 LP in 30 minutes. So at that rate, I know I went 3-0. So technically, if I had a 100% win rate, I'd gain infinite LP, right? But yeah, this deck is extremely fast at gaining LP if you play it well. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to play well and talk at the same time, but I hope I did a decent enough job to kind of show you guys how to play the deck, how to mulligan. I went over mulligan tips in the intro, so I hope this was a good way to show you guys how to mulligan, how to play, how to adjust your play style, stuff like that. But that's going to be it for this deck guide. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. If you did, comment Nami Mommy in the comment section if you made it this far in the video, so that way we know you're a real one. So that's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.